Okay, so I thought I'd hop on here. A lot of you were curious about what happened on this cabinet that Tracy and I painted live with milk paint last night. And I was out and about this afternoon, or actually around lunch, doing some errands, and I had a bunch of people stop and say, I want to see what happened to that piece you were doing. So you can see here on this lip, it's like really crackling. This came off when I was brushing. I ended up doing 3 coats. I really still think that it probably could have used a little bit more, but I ran out. So I only had what I had, and I'm not going to drive 2 hours there and 2 hours back to get some more. So you can see here, when I brushed it on the top for the second coat, it ran down, and when it ran down, it basically washed away that first layer of paint. So I tried to go back over it, but nothing I was doing was making it cover, so you can still see it. So then I did a third coat. So this is with 3 coats on it. You can kind of see where the hardware was, but I'm going to put the same hardware back on, so that doesn't really matter. And you can see over here it did the same thing where it ran, and then you can see that this area looks darker because I tried to cover it up again after I saw that it was running. Okay, so you can see all this chippy right here. And remember, I did lightly sand all of this with some 220 grit sandpaper. Just ever so lightly, okay? So I'll show you here what the top looks like. This piece, even with the first coat, it chunked. So there's probably something there. And like I said, I did sand the top of it quite a bit. I was trying to get where I wasn't in a shadow. I did sand the top of it quite a bit because there's lots of dings in it. This is like, I don't even know, paper stuck to it. And I couldn't get it off sanding, and I didn't want to strip it off. So I just sanded it the best I could. Here you can see that it's scratched, but there was also probably something on it. So I did sand pretty well the top, and I don't really see a whole lot of cracking. Mainly the edges are what has chipped. So I will show you here what happens when I use the scraper. Okay, so I went ahead and put it on the tripod, and I tried to put the tripod a little bit closer. Try and get this a little straighter. It always looks different once it pushes record, so I think I have it all lined up nice, and then I don't. And I'm sorry I'm getting a lot of shadows in here, but we've got a lot of windows. And so then you're just going to take a scraper, and you just run it along the flat piece of furniture. And again, like if I was really doing this, I would probably have, and not doing it on camera, I would probably have the drawers out. And so you can see it's just coming off where it wants to come off. Where that paint is raised up, which I don't have a piece of sandpaper here with me, but basically where that stuff is chipped up, like I was showing you in the last section, that stuff is all going to crack off. So I'm just using my fingers since I don't have any sandpaper here. I'm doing this in my house just because I've got Wi-Fi in here. So I'm starting off very gentle with my scraping, and then depending on how it's coming off, how much is coming off, I'm kind of changing my amount of pressure. And I can see right here the paint was up there in the drawer. So that's what you do. You just take the scraper and just run it all over the piece. And it's going to come off where it didn't adhere, where it's bubbling. And then it's going to stick in other places. And so like Tracy was saying last night, this stuff has a mind of its own. So the only way to, like, let's say you got too much chipping, the only way you can prevent that is to then put some shellac down and then paint back over it. And that's probably one of the main reasons why people don't like this paint, because you don't have control over it. So like this drawer turned out a lot more chippy than this drawer. So I'm going to go back over this one a little bit harder actually, because one thing about people who paint, yes, if you watched the end of my video, I probably had my live with Tracy, I probably had the best advice, which I should have started the video with that, but anyway, don't be intimidated by paint, because if you don't like it, you can just cover it up. But I'm also going to say that painters have, even furniture painters, have an eye. And it is an artistic thing on, like, if you're using chalk paint, where do you sand? Like when I see this, I'm going to try and apply more pressure in certain places, because visually I think it would look better if there was a little more chipping in a certain spot. But you don't have complete control over this with this kind of paint. So you have to remember that. And this is the Miss Mustard Seed chalk paint. Hopefully that scraping sound isn't driving you guys nuts. Turn your volume off, I guess, if it is, if you just want to watch. And I mentioned that I thought this piece would be a good piece for the milk paint, because the veneer on it is already kind of crappy. I've already worked on gluing the veneer on and cleaning this piece really well. It's been sitting in the storage unit forever. So this side, for whatever reason, is coming off a lot more, both on the drawer, top drawer, and this middle drawer. So it's really wanting to flake off more. Whew. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and then I will post a picture when I get done. Thanks.